Is going on, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to another episode of the Koop'd podcast, the podcast that is actually best friends with Spider-Man. As always, folks, my name is Koopa, and each week I sit down with a group of my friends, and we talk about all the happenings in pop culture and everything nerdy in between. And joining me this week, folks, for what is my most anticipated podcast of the year, because it's my own, and I've known this is going to be happening for a while, we are going to be talking in depth about the latest installment in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, being Spider-Man No Way Home. So I'm going to be warning you multiple times before we get there. There is going to be spoilerinos out the wazoo here. If you have not seen this movie, please go see it. We are going to, because you can't really talk about this movie without going into spoilers about it. But we will get there in 1 second. Again, running it back with me for a second straight week. Man who is as close to my heart as, I guess, I don't know, tentacles in my back. There we go. There's a transition there. Yeah, it's Riz. Yo, what's up, bro? How you doing?
I'm back. I made it.
You survived. This is
unfortunately.
Unfortunately, we've our streak of MCU films has been broken due to the novel virus known as COVID-19.
Yeah, it's sad.
It's sad. But Riz, how you doing, man?
I'm a little stressed. I got finals, but I'm so happy to talk about this movie, man. It's just been on my mind nonstop.
True. It truly cannot stop thinking about it. And back on the show for the first time in a while. I believe the last time we had you on the show, we were reviewing Black Widow. I think it was the last time we talked. The first step into the Phase 4 films of the MCU, and now here to talk about your and my favorite superhero. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome from the wonderful land of Texas, Mr. Banjo plays Banjo. Banjo, what's up, bro? How you doing?
Yo, what's up, bro? We're back. We're in effect over here to talk about Spider-Man on the Koop'd podcast. I'm so fucking hyped to talk about this movie finally. You know what? And I have broken protocol. My girlfriend asked me, "Hey, when you come down this holiday season, we can see the movie on the 27th." And I looked at her with eyes, and she might be mad at me or hate me for saying this, but I'm sorry I had to break that promise. Okay, I'm sorry it had to be done. But I literally saw this movie day of, and I am so glad I did. Holy shit. Can we go ahead with the intro stuff so we can get to it, bro?
Yeah, we'll get there. We will get there. We'll get there. We gotta, again, shout out the house first. Again, the Koop'd broadcast is brought to you guys by the wonderful people over at the BLEAV Podcast Network. The BLEAV Podcast Network is, again, with the number one podcasting site for professionals. You guys can check me out at BLEAV.com/shows/Koop'd, where our entire library of shows is now there. Make sure to download the podcast and, retweet the links whenever they go live on social media. Podcasts usually go live on Saturdays, except for this one that hasn't come out yet from last week because I was in Orlando, Florida this weekend, being a very busy human being. But again, our entire library is there. We're still available on all your favorite podcasting platforms: Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts. If there's a podcast service that exists, my podcast is on it. I know because I get emails from them every week. It's strange. But yeah, this past week, I was in. By the time you get this podcast, the podcast I recorded last weekend will be out, where I talk about the newly revealed Sonic 2 movie trailer and the Sonic Frontiers trailer. With local Sonic fan and Koop'd platinum guest Camelange. So you guys can look forward to that. Again, everything is going to be there. If you missed our Spider-Man retrospective, which I did with Riz and Glenn Tendo a couple weeks ago, all that's going to be there. So we are available on all of your favorite sites. So make sure you all check us out on the BLEAV Podcast Network and follow BLEAV on your various social media sites at BLEAV Podcasts on Instagram and Twitter, among your other social medias. So yeah, this movie is here, and I had a bit of an interesting experience of trying to get to see there. Again, like I mentioned, I was in Orlando this past weekend, commentating the Smash World Tour Championships. A lot of fun, gotta say. Florida, hell of a state. It is a lawless. I gotta call it. I gotta call spade a spade, man. You know what I mean?
Look, I went to Florida for the second time for CEO, and I'll say this: like, being in Daytona for CEO, and compared to being in Orlando is just way more tame. You know, everything is just nice and contained in that resort. But like the first time I went and as the CEO over there in Daytona, it was crazy. It was like some like if the Purge had a video game section, this definitely what
Oh
CEO
my
is, like
God.
100%. There was a Burger King right next to the venue, and we ravaged that Burger King. Like the only thing that was left in that Burger King was hash brown, lime Fanta, and chicken fingers. That's it. That's the only thing that was left. I tried to go over there for a beef burger. They said, "Nah, we're out of burger." I'm like, "Nah, y'all royalty, y'all the king. Y'all can't not have this." And it's like, "That's y'all fault." I'm like, "Oh, okay, my bad."
I can't take my Burger Queen to Burger King if there's no burgers to be had. Like
Impossible, bro.
Those
Absolutely
three
They really
impossible.
weren't ready for the FGC.
they
Yeah.
never are, man. Like
You know what? He's right. They never are. Was there where exactly in Orlando was it? Like, I mean, was it in? It was in Orlando, correct?
it was in Orlando. Yeah, the entirety of the tournament happened at the Hilton Orlando, which is the biggest hotel I've stayed in my entire life. This shit
Wow.
was huge. Yeah, it had a pool, a lazy river, jacuzzi. It
A
was
lazy
crazy.
river in a hotel? What?
Dude, that's what I'm saying. It was crazy. Well, I didn't even have to pay to go to Disney because Disney was right there. I had Disney at home. pretty
Oh, that's
much.
sick.
Like it
That's
was crazy.
crazy.
Yeah, it was dope. So there was a giant convention, a giant ballroom that the venue took up, and it was dope. The production was fantastic. The top 8, despite the technical difficulties that followed throughout the weekend, it was a great show. I had a phenomenal time getting to experience 80-degree weather in December when I'm not going to get to experience that type of heat for literally the next 6 months. Bro, I was cooking. It was great. Also, there was a dog show happening in like the hotel over from us. So there was just mad dogs everywhere all weekend. There was a salsa dance competition happening Saturday night. So there was salsa dancers.
Was that
everywhere.
part of the dog show?
I wish that would have been some shit. Like I thought Genesis 3 was the greatest trifecta of things I've seen at a Smash tournament, being a volleyball competition, a Smash tournament, and a Chex Notes Furry Con. But nah, this is
Yep.
that
That
was some
happened.
stuff. Yeah, that happened. And let me tell you, those furries know how to party. Oh man, I seen some shit, man. That was something. Go ahead.
Like it was speaking of Furry Con, like those guys definitely know how to party. Me and my homeboy were coming back from an event. I think it was at an anime con, and it was like there was an after hours party going on, like in the venue or whatever. So basically, I was going back to my hotel. It's 3 a.m., 4 a.m. I'm fucking tired. I don't want to deal with nothing. So Buddy walks out the party or whatever and takes off his his dog helmet or whatever. This man had a ball gag in his mouth. I said, hey bro, this is way too early. This is way too intense. I'm about to go back to my room, bro. I can't do this right now, bro. So saying how they know how to party, that's an understatement.
Yeah.
Part of me was just like, damn, but part of me was like, damn, what's really going on in there?
Yeah, for those reasons, I'm out. But also speaking of anime cons, there is also an anime convention 15 minutes away from where I was staying.
All of that was happening that weekend?
Yeah, Holiday Matsuri which is like one of the biggest anime conventions of the year, was happening like literally like 10 minutes away.
Good Lord.
Yeah, I went Friday night because one of my friends from high school just happens to live in Orlando and happens to be a cosplayer. So let me tell you, man, Florida, lawless land.
You did a lot that weekend.
I did a lot. I'm truly exhausted, but I had a dope time. I just got back last night. I'm very much looking forward to not stalling anymore and getting into the fun stuff, because one of my biggest challenges, I was very excited to be part of the Smash World Tour. Again, shout outs to VG Bootcamp, Gimmer, Apostle, everybody involved with the tour
Very
for
good
putting on
event.
a great show all
Yeah.
year. It was dope. I had a great time. However, one of the biggest challenges of my life was the fact that I was going to be in Orlando at the same time as the most anticipated film of the year. So I had the extra challenge of not only trying to get tickets for Spider-Man, but trying to get tickets for Spider-Man in a state that I haven't been to in 10 plus years and don't know where the movie theaters are. So I was pressed with quite the interesting challenge, and I think we will, we'll talk about all of it. And again, this is going to be, one of your final warnings. Again, reminding you guys again, we're going to be talking about the movie very soon. So if you haven't seen Spider-Man No Way Home, go see it. So
I'm talking about everything. I'm letting y'all know now. I'm talking about literally everything. I'm talking about past, present, the future implications, all that. I'm talking about it. So this is your final warning. Koopa said so. Riz is basically sitting here being like, hey, bro, like, listen to what he's saying. We're going in depth. Like Mariana's Trench deep. So this is it. We're letting you know now.
Yeah. So, but one last thing before we get there. Again, so I'm curious. What was your guys' movie ticket buying experience for this? Mine was pretty painless after hours of looking online. So, Riz, you want to go first?
Yeah. So every movie I've seen since COVID hit has been in a private theater. Like every single one. This time it was literally impossible. I was calling like over a month in advance to every theater I could. Like, hey, please let me get a theater. Like I'm calling super, in advance. Like it's been smooth every time before this movie. I didn't have a single problem getting a whole theater for myself, right? But this time it was impossible because every theater was like, no, we know we're gonna sell out, and they did. So, they made the right decision. But shit, like.
Yeah,
I had to go to a regular theater for the first time in a while.
I would risk the Rona for Spider-Man. Honestly, like I look at it, I'm just thinking it was worth it. But Banjo, what about you? How was your ticket buying experience for this movie?
I was very surprisingly just easy. Like I'm in a chat with a bunch of people I play Apex with, and one of the people I play Apex with bought out a theater.
Congratulations!
Right, and he was just like, yeah, man, just you PayPal me the money, man, and yeah, man, we gonna be good to go. Ironically enough, I didn't go to that one because my other homeboy got tickets for a theater and a showing where literally it was up in like less than 5 minutes, right? And we were the first ones to get access to it. So we got perfect seats, everything for like $15 a piece, all that, and it was perfect. We got 3 good seats. We were the first one in, didn't have to worry about nothing. All we had to do that day was show up. Now, when we got to the theater, that's when the pandemonium started. That's when it was actually like, oh, okay, this is the multiverse because I see like 50 million people dressed up as their own version of Spider-Man. Spider-Man got some heels on. Spider-Man got some gym shorts on, some Jordans. I never seen this before. It was actually the multiverse before I even got into the theater. But my ticket buying experience was very easy. I'm very fortunate. It was way easier than it was getting tickets for Endgame or Infinity War.
Really?
Yes.
I had it because Riz noticed we had the opposite problem with that. Like I had a way harder time getting tickets for this than I did for getting Endgame. Endgame, I forget who bought the tickets, but one of us waltzed onto the theater. One of us waltzed. I think I had jury duty at the time this was happening or whatever. So I think
it's usually me when it's us.
It's definitely you. So you definitely just like waltzed on to like an AMC website at like, I don't know, 3 PM, just like, all right, bet I got tickets.
Yeah, so, I think I saw it 3 times opening weekend and came, and I didn't have a problem getting any of those 3.
Yeah, so this again was a little bit challenging for me because I had to find a theater within, drivable distance of, passable distance from where I was staying. There was like an IMAX theater like 5 minutes away from my hotel initially, and me and Hazmat, joined in the Discord call. We're just like, all right, whichever one of us gets in first, we're just gonna buy a shit ton of tickets and then Godspeed to everybody else.
Basically,
so we're like, all right, bet. So we kept refreshing this one page for literally like an hour and a half. We're close to it. It was a long time. It felt like forever. It probably wasn't even that long, but it felt like a century. So everything was crashing. Fandango was suffering. Like the streets were on fire.
Right.
It was tough. So eventually I take the initiative. I'm just like, all right, let me just look for like a bum-ass theater chain in Orlando, Florida, and see what I can find. Shout outs to the Epic Theaters in Lee Vista, wherever the fuck that is. Dude, never heard of this chain in my entire life, but truly.
Is it really Epic Theaters?
It's literally called Epic Theaters. And it was epic. I gotta call it like it is. So I get in there. Fun fact, I actually had to buy tickets for this movie twice. So I know I ended up buying 12 Spider-Man tickets, and I only ended up seeing the movie one day. So initially, when the tickets went live, the schedules for the Smash World Tour weren't out yet, and I'm trying to plan this with a bunch of commentators. So it's just like, I don't know what time we're gonna be able to go see this movie, bro. So I bought tickets on Sunday. I'm just like, okay, we'll see if this works out. I bought it for like the latest viewing I can see. I got 6 tickets. The next day, I'm talking to Hazem about it. We're just like, maybe we should try to get earlier tickets. I'm just like, I can try, see what's up. Lo and behold, next morning, look for Thursday available tickets. We're all flying in Thursday. I'm able to get 6 tickets. Not only do we get them all the way in the back of the theater in stadium seating, square in the middle, like 6 seats, dead ass right. And the best part, and I don't know if it's like this for other theaters. I think if you try to buy more than like, I don't know, 3 tickets or whatever, like it just automatically picks the seats for you. So we got 6 seats, dead ass, like square in the middle, like all the way in the back. So it was, it was pristine. So,
and it's crazy because, like, you know what I'm saying, like, when you see him, when you watch a movie, when you go to a movie like this, it's literally standing room only at that point. Like, if you don't get tickets.
Yeah, no, for sure. So we got super lucky. Our theater was pretty much full. There have been like 2 or 3 empty seats, but the theaters were full. It was dope. And listen, let's give a spoiler-free thought for the people that might have made it this far and still haven't seen the movie yet.
Come on, why are we still catering?
My man is just like, enough. I've had enough.
Yeah, for real, it's a Spider-Man podcast. You don't belong here if you're not trying to get spoiled.
We'll do it this way. We'll do it this way. Riz, what is your, because TheRinger.com does it with their exit surveys for movies that they recover. What is your tweet length review? There's a spoiler-free tweet length review of Spider-Man No Way Home.
Spoiler free? I don't even know how to review this movie spoiler free. I'm gonna be honest. Like, what one word can I say that doesn't spoil something? Hilarious.
Okay.
That's fair. That works.
Yeah.
I want to talk about what actually, like, I don't know how to. Okay. Really good, like, sound design, as in, like, they like subtly throw in, music from like the old movies that I just really, really like that part. But that's a spoiler.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
You're right. It is hard. Banjo, if you could try, what's your tweet length spoiler free review for the normies at home that still haven't seen this movie yet?
Spider-Man Far From Home.
No Way Home.
Oh, excuse me. Spider-Man No Way Home is everything great about Spider-Man.
There we go.
Yeah.
Yep. my thoughts echo a lot of the same of that. Go see it. It's the best thing I can say. This movie is emotional. It's hilarious. It is endgame levels of excitement. Go see it. That's my review. And now, without further ado, we're getting into it, folks. This is your final warning. I'm going to put this is an editing note for myself. Put a slow scroll of spoiler warning across the screen for those people that may not have seen this movie yet. Go see it, as we are about to embark on the journey of reviewing the 27th film in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Spider-Man No Way Home, starring Tom Holland, Zendaya, Benedict Cumberbatch, Jacob Batalon, Jon Favreau, Jamie Foxx, Willem Dafoe, Alfred Molina, Benedict Wong, Tony Revioli, and Marissa Tomei. Again, if you are not aware of what the synopsis of this movie is, this movie directly follows 2019's Spider-Man Far From Home, in which Peter Parker is suffering the fallout of Jake Gyllenhaal, fresh off of not dating Taylor Swift anymore, ? in which Mysterio, Quentin Beck, the world's greatest intergalactic superhero, reveals to the world that the identity of Spider-Man is indeed Peter Parker. And now Peter, in an attempt to, save not only his own identity, but the lives of those around him who are affected by this, seeks help from the Sorcerer Not Supreme, as we find out later, Dr. Stephen Strange, in an attempt to cast a spell that will make everyone forget that he is Spider-Man. Peter tries to make too many revisions before the due date is done. Chaos ensues as Doctor Strange cannot contain the spell and instead starts getting visitors from Spider-Man's eclectic rogue gallery from Spider-Man films past, again featuring the likes of Electro, Doc Ock, and of course the Green Goblin, among most of them. Yeah, so I think again, just talking about that in general, that in itself is a bit of a spoiler, and we talked about it a bit, off podcast. But if you haven't seen any of the trailers for this film, consider yourself lucky, because I'm sure you were excited. How did you guys feel? And again, do we just want to say it? Are you just ready to say it at this point? Like,
yeah,
Yes.
Now, in addition to featuring those that we just mentioned, this film also features Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire reprising the roles as Peter Parker, a.k.a. Spider-Man, from the Sam Raimi trilogy and the Mark Webb duo of films, The Amazing SpiderMan. And, man, I don't know how you guys are. I'm still in the state of needing to smoke a cigarette. So let's just talk about that being the biggest shoe to drop from this. They did it. They fuck you. Like, insert the Jurassic Park screen here. You son of a bitch, you did it. So
Right.
So Banjo, how you feeling, man? They were able to pull it off.
They fucking did it. I mean, honestly, like, now, giving credit, right? This is Hollywood's worst kept secret, right? Anybody
1000%.
who is a true like Spider-Man fan, we knew, they knew. Like, it's like, okay, all these villains are being encompassed in the movie. Like, there's anybody has to be kind of skeptical if they think that only one Spider-Man is gonna fight like 6 villains, right? Oh, and by the way, Sony, y'all definitely got shat on because Marvel, with the help of Marvel and Amy Pascal, did something that Sony was never actually able to do, which is put multiple villains in one movie and make it work.
Hell yeah.
True.
Nobody,
It's been a disaster every time.
It's literally been a disaster, and it's so many films. It's been a disaster, but it worked here. But to see just like Tobey Maguire like come back to the role, and to see Andrew Garfield come back to the role, and just to see the positive reception from it, like especially for Andrew Garfield, who people felt like he didn't really have a fair shot, because he felt like a lot of fans felt like the studio was meddling in the shit, right? But it's like you put them back in the spotlight of this movie, and it's just like they're the centerpiece, and it's just like, holy shit, like this is actually like really amazing, really fun to watch. And these are and every Spider-Man or every actor who's played Spider-Man is good and is special and has their own like very special quirks about them. And everybody absolutely fucking loves it, and I fucking love it. Like, 2002 was the first Spider-Man, right?
Yep.
I was 9. So imagine just like I'm 29.
Yeah.
I'm 29, and he's on screen again 20 years later after the fact. That's wild to me. And it's just like the fact that Amy Pascal and Marvel were able to pull this shit off and actually have this happen. At first I was just like, okay, if it's only Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield, I'm gonna get a little, upset, just because I feel like more than 3 Spider-Men should be fighting them. But the fact that it's just literally those centralized 3 who actually, in a sense, kind of carried the movie franchises, and kept them like relevant for so long, good or bad, it's just like, damn. And to see them on screen together and just like chopping it up and like, what do you do in your universe? I do this in my universe. It's just like, holy shit. And it's just like the reveal too. Like when they came in,
Yeah.
literally deafening. You can't hear. You could not hear shit in that movie theater. You couldn't.
Yeah, same.
Yeah. Riz, talk about it. How you feeling?
Oh man, I loved all of like the interactions between the three of them.
Yep.
I don't know. They were hilarious first of all, but
Mm-hmm.
also like you can like kind of see like the advice they give to Peter and the way Peter like kind of doesn't really take it at first. I don't know. I just thought it played really well. Um, I actually had no idea they were in the movie because I muted every possible Marvel word. I have this list in my Twitter of like every Marvel word, right?
Godlike.
Like even things that aren't related. Like I muted Thor for this movie. Like I do it every
He's
time.
smart. He's smart.
So I freaked out. The whole theater freaked out. And even like you were saying, Andrew Garfield kind of has this whole redemption thing going. I really like the scene with Zendaya where he catches her. Like I teared up a
Oh
little
my
bit.
God.
Dude,
Like,
that scene absolutely broke me. Like, I'm a staunch Andrew Garfield defender. And listen, I'm looking square at the camera right now. You guys at home won't be able to see this, but you guys in the call right now will be able to see this. I'm looking y'all square in the eye. You guys don't deserve Amazing Spider-Man 3 because I'm gonna remember what you all said about Andrew Garfield. Okay, I
Glenn
said
specifically.
yeah, Glenn. I'm looking square at you, Glenn. Andrew Garfield is the best actor to play Spider-Man out of these three, and he is batting a fucking 1,000 in this movie. He was so good, and
Yeah,
like,
he's kind of the highlight. At least, like just for me
Yeah.
personally. I don't know.
It's
do
crazy.
you want to watch those movies now?
I kind of
It's-
do.
Yeah, let's go.
Yeah, I'm
It's
serious.
wild because like because fucking like it's redemption for him, like Riz said, in more than one way. Because it's just
Yeah.
like he's had this stigma about him that the Amazing Spider-Man 2, and 1, really weren't like a crowd favorite. Amazing
Mhm.
Spider-Man 2 was ass. I'm gonna take that to the fucking bank. I don't care what nobody say.
Nah, that movie
But
sucks.
but I will say that like Andrew Garfield, he's an excellent, he's a very good Spider-Man.
Yeah.
He really is. So to see like that redemption coming to play for him, not only as just an actor returning to the role, but just his arc in general, which is really really like also super impressive that this movie did. It was just like kind of just like continuing each Spider-Man's lore a little bit. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like
Mhm.
for Toby, it was just like, he's a grown man married to Mary Jane, and he's just like, hey, like, I'm still Spider-Man. It's just I've just been dealing with, some other stuff and coming to peace with a lot more. This is like, Spider-Man's final form, basically,
Yeah.
right? The guy who understands like what Uncle Ben taught him and is like, able to deal with the sacrifices and everything. And then Andrew Garfield being like, the Spider-Man who has dealt with extreme pain and extreme loss and is finding ways to, work through that and everything else. And it's just like, you see Tom Holland basically the center of both of them, right? Which is
Yep.
super like impressive because it just like improves. It takes two different lores and kind of just like meshes them onto one character, but it works, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like that whole scene where fucking where let me give you an example, right? So like how like Peter, when he first fought the Green Goblin died, like how he got stabbed with his glider
Yep.
and he couldn't stop it.
Yep.
Well, this time he did,
Yeah.
right?
Oh, true. This
How
is true.
Andrew
True.
Garfield couldn't save Gwen, but he saved MJ, right? It's
Yeah.
it's these type of like small like instances that is just like, oh shit, we're watching characters actually evolve in front of our faces, which is fucking phenomenal. Like, and like the fact that this movie did this is just like, wow, it's really good. It's really good writing.
Yeah. No, for sure. I echo a lot of those same sentiments. Like my I absolutely I think for the last like how like half of this movie I just spent just like on the constant state of like teetering on tears, whether it be for like excited purposes or like for for like what else is going on, because again this movie is not afraid to go there. Obviously one of the other big tentpoles of this movie is that we finally get to, with great power comes great responsibility. But coming from Marissa Tomei's character, from Mr. Tomei's Aunt May, in which she is, tragically killed at the hands of Willem Dafoe. And I'm sure I haven't seen a lot of, I've seen some people, maybe criticize that a bit. I'm personally not a fan of, the death of women motivating, the acts of men in a movie. It feels a little forced sometimes, but I like the twist on the formula. I don't want to watch Uncle Ben die again. I don't need to see that again. But, again, it was a great surprise, where, the biggest complaint you get about the Homecoming trilogy is that Peter Parker doesn't always have to make Spider-Man level decisions. And here he experiences, again, one of the first big Spider-Man moments, and that, someone he really cares about, because of a decision that he makes, trying to, do something that might not necessarily benefit everybody. It causes the death of someone very crucial to him, which again, sends the rest of the movie on a collision course for greatness. But, I don't know how you guys felt about that, but that was that got me hard. Rest in peace.
I think it was completely brilliant, and that plus the pretty much the ending of the movie, I kind of just realized that, people say, oh, they're skipping Spider-Man's origin story this time around, right? Like we don't see how he got bit by the spider or Uncle Ben or any of that. But it's like, actually, this whole trilogy is his origin story. Like,
right.
I guess we can get into that more when we get to the ending of the movie. But
yeah,
that moment is a huge part of why I feel that.
Yeah, I'm super excited that they just didn't give us the whole they put a twist on it, you know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
And that's what that's what the MCU in general has been just really good at. It's just okay, we understand that we're, taking things from comic books, right? But we're not going to it's not going to be panel for panel, right?
Mm-hmm.
We're going to take from the lore, but we want to make sure that it makes sense for you, right? And they really did that well by the the death of Aunt May, and it was just if people really want to get technical about it, in the comic books, I mean, Peter Parker buried Aunt May, so
this is true. Yeah,
it happened. It actually happened in the comic books, and after that, that's when the goofball shit started happening. That's and after for anybody who watched this movie. Anybody who's because we've heard all the complaints why isn't Spider-Man doing doing all the cool stuff that Spider-Man does, where's the Spider Island storyline, where's the storyline where Doc Ock takes over his body, where's the storyline where he fights the Hulk, bro, all of that goofball shit, it happens now. Now it is going to start to happen, right? And we'll get to the ending of the movie later, which I'll go into more detail about, but that scene where it's just okay, this is Spider-Man, if you really think about it, through 2 movies, right? Until that point he never had a defining moment. This Spider-Man never had a defining moment, and this was the defining moment, and it had to happen. Because there's no driving force if it doesn't.
Yep. I knew the second that she said that line, I'm just like, oh no, man. I'm just you got this power. I'm just like, don't say it.
Yeah.
Don't say it. And then lo and behold, it happens. But yeah, listen, again, I will say, I think one of my the small complaints I might have about this movie is that the beginning, while littered with great, nostalgia and cameos, it's a little slow in the beginning, but again, once you finally get that reveal of Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield, the movie it lets out a sigh of relief. They get to have fun with it, and again, just to go back to it, that was just hearing everybody just hold their breath in anticipation. We're just I just want to see Peter, and you see the little spark, and we're just what's this? What's that?
Yo, I was
that and then that was great. And then I loved something else I just want to credit throughout the whole film is that the chemistry between Jacob Batalon, Zendaya, and Tom Holland throughout the entirety of the movie was great. I didn't always think it worked in the other movies. Like I think in Ned's character in Far From Home is just a little too like hokey with the whole like dating Betty thing, which again, it's a comic book reference. I get it. Ned Leeds and Betty Brant are a thing in the comic books, so I was like, it's fine. They're on vacation. They're in love. I'll allow it. But like seeing like the Zendaya and like the MJ and Ned relationship really work well in tandem together was dope. And seeing Zendaya like throw bread at Andrew Garfield was hilarious.
Oh my god, that was awesome.
Yeah.
He's like just watch him be like degraded, just like, oh, that's okay. I'm hanging on the ceiling. Is that enough? She's like, nah, I want you to crawl. And it was just,
getting the spider web out of the corner.
yeah, that was hilarious. And then obviously that caused like interruption from the crowd. And then everyone knows it's coming next. It's like, oh, I guess we got to keep searching for other Peters. And then everyone's just like, oh shit, it's happening. And
Yeah.
I love the choice that they made by not de-aging Tobey Maguire. He looked old as hell. Like he looks like he's in his mid-40s.
Yeah.
And I love that. I look at it. I'm just like, oh, that's Peter B. Parker. Like that's exactly like the angle I hope they were gonna go with that. I'm like, yes, he's old. I just wish he was like a little chubby, wearing sweatpants, like an Into the Spider-Verse.
Comes in with a slice of pizza.
Yeah,
Right.
Instead we get cool youth pastor, which again, even funnier. Great line. But like, I echo a lot of the same feelings that you guys felt because like the first Sam Raimi Spider-Man film is like one of my earliest memories of going to the movie theaters. Like, my dad would take me to see every Spider-Man movie in theaters, and to see Andrew, like just to see Tobey Maguire play Spider-Man again, it rocked my world. I was just like, I could not stop smiling the rest of that movie. And to hear them like poke fun at the fact that like he has like, the web glands or whatever.
Yeah.
it's like,
yeah. Where else do they come out of?
Like, I'm just like, yes. Like 15-year-old me is like grinning from ear to ear. And like hearing him do like the banter stuff was hilarious. Well, we'll talk about the final fight scene when we get there. But like something that I really wanted to see was I wanted to watch them do sciencey shit together, which when they're like in the lab, like they were doing their thing, and I'm just like, oh my god, this is so fucking cool. And then it's like, oh, so like, do you guys have a best friend in your universe? It's like, oh, mine died in my arms, and it's just like, oh, like it's just so funny. Like I always thought that Tobey Maguire was like a little bit too awkward of an actor in those films, but he absolutely crushes it. In fun fact, his first like credited movie role in almost like 7 years. Tobey Maguire hasn't been in acting like and on camera for like a while. But I thought all of that worked perfectly. They played off of each other so great. Like the whole like, oh, can you like crack my back thing? Like that was so funny.
That's fucking funny.
Yeah, that was a great like callback.
Yeah, like that was funny. Like watching to be like, oh, like I fought this purple guy in space. It's like, oh man, you guys do all these cool things. I just fought a Russian mobster in a rhino costume.
And he called him amazing.
Yeah, nice. That was just like, he said it. I was just like, watching him just like banter with each other is easily like my favorite part of like that sequence of the film. But I think a small cameo we did glance over, which I think would be like another of the biggest things out of this movie, if for the fact that we didn't get the other two Spider-Man actors in this. This movie officially introduces Daredevil into the MCU as Spider-Man, as I predict, I think everybody, when they knew the direction this was probably going to go. This movie features a single scene with Charlie Cox, aka Matt Murdock, again coming to the MCU fully as his lawyer self, who again represents Peter seeks legal counsel from him. What did you guys think of that single scene? I thought it was just enough. I thought it was fucking amazing, and I was the only one in my theater to initially recognize it immediately.
Oh, I screamed.
I knew from the second they put the cane down. I was like, oh shit, it's him.
I think it's tight. Because, like, going along with the ending of the movie, it's like, this man is basically, like, Peter Parker, Spider-Man at his the way we know him is that he's street level, bro. He's the friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. So it's who better to introduce him with than, a guy people or superheroes who champion the neighborhood, like Daredevil. And Daredevil goes in that same bubble, which is what they're probably going to go. If he's meeting Daredevil, if he's meeting Matt Murdock, I have to assume that Luke Cage and Jessica Jones are literally right around the corner. And
I hope so, man. I love those shows.
Because it's just like
Iron Fist can stay though.
Yeah. Iron Fist is Iron Fist and Power Man. That's a podcast for another day. But like to see like Daredevil there is just like, oh shit, like the universe, it just got that much more bigger, because like everybody forgets that Daredevil was one of the earliest Marvel TV shows.
Yeah,
it was actually the first. And everybody was so skeptical on it until they watched that shit, and they were just like, "Oh my god, this is so good! It's like the best thing I've ever seen." And then they did it for 3 straight seasons, and it's just like, to have him here in the movies, it just makes it like that much crazier. And I can't fucking wait. I want to see some more of him, and what he means for just Spider-Man in general.
Can we get a Karen Page back also, please?
Word.
Asking for science. Just saying. I'm sorry. Lost control there for a second. Yeah, Riz.
Technical difficulties.
Yeah, Riz, how are you feeling? Now, before I ask you this question, number one, have you caught up with Hawkeye yet?
I did just before
Okay.
I
didn't.
So that's another reason I screamed, because like we could just see him this week. Like I mean, Charlie Cox, like that would be insane.
Yeah. So go ahead.
Yeah, like those Netflix shows, I love all of them. So knowing that we just saw Charlie Cox in Spider-Man, knowing that we just saw Kingpin in Hawkeye, like there's just so much shit they could do, and I just can't wait to see it.
Yeah, no, I'm super excited. Again, I love those. The Netflix Daredevil series is phenomenal. It just happened to be like at the top of my like recommended stuff on Netflix this week. I'm just saying, wonder why. And again, I love that they're finally able to start utilizing these properties again. And I forget where I read this. From what I understand, there's like a grace period that Marvel had to like wait in order to use these characters again after Netflix. I think did they cancel the Marvel stuff?
Yeah.
I don't remember exactly what. Yeah, that's what it was. Yeah, they straight up canceled it. Okay, which a damn shame, TBH. But yeah, lo and behold, for the greater good, I guess. And that's gonna be awesome. Again, definitely a big week for Daredevil fans, as like it was confirmed that it was Vincent D'Onofrio, reprising his role as Wilson, Uncle Wilson, as I'm sure be revealed in Hawkeye tomorrow at the recording of this podcast. And I love that. Daredevil is one of my like favorite comic book like heroes. Like anyone that interacts with like closely with Spider-Man, it's just all tangentially there for love. I thought it would have been funny if they just like brought back like Ben Affleck, just as like for like memes. God. Like imagine,
right?
Like
just as a fucking meme. Like,
please, no.
Like what if the Wilson Fisk we got in the MCU was Lawrence Fishburne? Like that would.
Oh my god, too much, too much. Oh my god.
I watched those don't exist.
I haven't watched that movie in a while. I kind of want to watch it out of just morbid curiosity. Again,
you want to listen to "Bring Me to Life" by Evanescence in a movie?
Every single day.
The banger of the century, bro. Top 20. I play that shit at every wedding I'm at.
Yeah, but that was, again, it was a great cameo. It was a great a little exchange right there. Where I love his line about the law of public opinion. And again, I do think it was just so funny where he's just like caught the brick like coming through the window. It's like, how'd you do that? It's like, yeah, I'm just a really good lawyer. I'm like, that was phenomenal. We just got enough of that, and I think now's a good time to talk about the Rogues Gallery. I thought almost everybody got just enough time. Got their just desserts in this movie.
I agree.
Willem Dafoe.
Fucking menace.
Like God
Amazing.
bless.
Fucking menace.
He like all these years later able to come back to this role and absolutely fucking crush it. Like putting up 50 points, 20 rebounds off the bench. Like absolutely, like definitely the highlight for me out of the Rogues Gallery. Again, it's amazing what you can do when you get such a great actor and don't put him in a fucking Power Rangers mask.
Yeah.
So like,
I'm glad he killed that shit.
Yeah. Go. So how are you guys feeling after we get to take a look at these characters who we love, but also some characters that we probably didn't care much about, like Jamie Foxx or Sandman.
You can go ahead, Banjo.
Okay, my bad. But yeah, I absolutely. I'll start from the fucking. I'll start from the back. So like, okay, so Doctor Octavius coming back as what's the name, Doctor Octopus, right? I
Yeah,
think
my
that
man.
that's fucking huge, which is crazy because everybody he was greatly lauded, right? Uh, like okay, this is the best Spider-Man villain free, but
Yep.
then Willem Dafoe showed up and he said, "Well, I was the one who actually started this shit, so let me show you how it's done." This son of a bitch was a menace the whole fucking movie, the whole movie. Like my biggest problem with Spider-Man as a whole, right? In the movies, in these last few movies, and I was just like, bro, is this man gonna throw hands? Is he gonna fight somebody, or is he gonna web him to death? That shit always irked me to no end. But
Yep.
this movie, they were beating the shit out of each other, and I loved every second of it. And the fact that Willem Dafoe had the balls to just be like, if you put me in this movie, I am the Green Goblin. Don't put me in. He said, like in an interview, he said, "Hey, if you put me in this movie, I don't want to like show up as some cameo or something. I want to do all my stunts." 66 years old,
Goaded.
spine bustering a 23-year-old Tom Holland through brick metal concrete. Nah, bruh, that's too much. I'm super happy to see that Thomas Hayden Church came back to reprise his role as Sandman. I love the whole like CGI, like he's made the sand type deal. I fucking love that. I love that Rise Ifan came back as Lizard. You know what I'm saying? He was the lizard the whole time. I think that's so good. And Jamie Foxx, who just like added more character and kind of did a little reprisal as Electro, right? And I love that shit because it's just like I'm not just some weird like I don't have this like awkward role like I did in as a villain, right? In the Amazing Spider-Man 2, right? He kind of just like reinvented the character a little bit, and I like that. I love that, and just also I think that covers all of them. Yeah, that covers
Yeah.
all of the main villains that are basically in the movie, and it's
That you
just like
see in the that you don't see in the post, as you see
that you see it
that you see in the movie.
that you don't see in the post. Which, like I said, when we get to the ending,
Yeah.
I'm full speed go, and like all of the villains that are in this movie, it's just like really really good, and everybody's worth their salt, and it's just so fucking good to just see everybody just like have fun and return back
Yeah.
to their villains and shit. I think that's so good. But the fact that like I thought from the previews, I was like, okay, Doc Ock is clearly, gonna be the one to look out for. In the comics, he's always the smartest. In the comics, he's technically the one who beat Spider-Man like definitively and for a long time. But like they let us know, like, hey, Spider-Man's true villain, the only villain that ever will be the villain, the true bad guy, is
Yes,
Norman
sir.
Osborn, bro. I'm telling y'all, like this guy, even in the comic books, he was just always just doing fuck shit just to spite Peter Parker. He was always doing just bullshit just to spite Peter Parker. There was an arc in the comic book where Peter Parker and Mary Jane they had a daughter, and then Norman Osborn stole the kid. For what? He was like, because I hate you, Spider Man. Huh? Like for real? That's what we doing? Like and like Norman Osborn in the comic books has just been just the root of all evil when it comes to Spider-Man. He's Spider-Man's just definitive arch villain, and they made that very very clear in this movie, and I'm so fucking happy that they did because Norman Osborn, don't ever recast him, no matter how
Yeah.
old he gets.
Yeah. Riz, how you feeling?
uh, who had the better redemption arc, Andrew Garfield or Jamie Foxx?
Honestly?
That's my first point.
Uh,
Also,
kind of
I,
spitting facts.
I really, really like how maybe I'm remembering Spider-Man movies wrong, but I always feel like whenever he gets violent, like he punches someone or like just does something that looks really violent, the camera doesn't really focus on it, right? But
Yeah.
I felt like in this one, especially with Osborn, like you saw every single punch, and you saw him just take it, and it just felt brutal and awesome. And yeah, he definitely stole the show. Willem Dafoe. He's something of a scientist himself.
Right.
That killed me. That was
Yeah.
so fucking funny. I'm a bit of a fucking idiot myself. Like, oh my god, it was so good.
Yeah, and I like how Sandman was like post being back to a good guy, kind of. I don't, maybe I'm not remembering the movie right, but he was already good. Like, he wasn't trying to hurt anyone.
Yeah,
really,
he was a misguided dude. That was like
Yeah.
something I was like a little confused about, because if you know, as someone that like watched the trailers for this movie,
Mhm.
you know, a big point they make is that Doc Ock makes a reference about like, you know, you're just fighting ghosts, which is, you know, all these people die fighting Spider-Man.
Mhm.
And very clearly, like, the lizard doesn't die in the Amazing Spider-Man. Reese Ifers
Right.
just gets thrown in crazy jail, and
Oh.
Thomas Hayden Church doesn't die in Spider-Man 3. He just goes away. So I
Mhm.
was curious how they were going to go about that. They just kind of don't mention it, which is like, okay, whatever. So I thought that like that was like my only like really, if I'm just nitpicking at this point. Most of my complaints in this movie are just me nitpicking. But I was also curious if they were actually going to bring back Reese Ifers and Thomas Hayden Church like at all, because I'm just like, okay, if they're just going to CG them, that's fine, that's cool.
Yeah.
And
Oh
I
yeah,
even
they
think
could have done that.
yeah, to be honest, I'm gonna have to watch the movie again. I'm like 99% sure that the footage they took of Reese Ifers was just like from the Amazing Spider-Man.
Nah, they definitely did that shit when he was like when he was laying down, he got the antidote. It was definitely just some shit that they took from the last
It was
movie.
definitely
Oh,
just like a
wow.
cutscene or
Just
something.
like what they did for like when Sandman got changed back in the Flint Marco. It was just some shit that they took from
Yeah,
Spider-Man 3.
something about that just looked like unnatural. I'm just like, I guess I don't know. I get it. Maybe Thomas Hayden Church and Reese Ifers couldn't be bothered to do it, but
Right.
it is what it is. At least we got their voices in there, which is cool.
Yeah, that was nice.
Yeah, but I agree. I am willing to say that like Jamie Foxx to me is killed it in this movie. Like, it was again, it wasn't his choice that they went with the ultimate version of Spider-Man's Electro, where he's blue and gross looking, and like it is what it is. Like, Max Dillon as a character is he my favorite of Spider-Man's rogue galleries? No, I always thought Electro looked kind of stupid because of that stupid fucking mask that he wears. They made him look so cool in this movie, and,
Right.
like, the fact that he's like, you know, he's like the foil to everything going on. You know, he steals an arc reactor, which
Yeah.
is like fucking crazy. Like,
Yeah.
I thought the line of him just feeling sick, oh, y'all just gonna look at me like butt ass naked, like he was funny, he was quippy, like, and he was truly menacing. Like, Electro has never looked this cool in anything before, and I thought he absolutely crushed it. Obviously, you know, Alfred Molina absolutely, you know, killed it as Doc Doc. I thought he was super funny. Like, you know, watching Peter just like casually take control of his AI arms because they absorbed the nanotech, which again is set up, you know, from way early on in, you know, the first Spider-Man film, where they talk about nanotechnology, and that's something that, like, you know, the Otto Octavius, like, you know, deals in and stuff.
Yeah.
How did they talk about nanotech? I don't even remember that.
Yeah, there's like a couple like throwaway lines of stuff that they mention about it, but
That's cool that it like lines up like that.
that's what I'm saying. There's a lot of stuff that, like, you know, lines up, like, almost like, you know, you could watch. I'll put it this way: you can watch the original the Raimi trilogy. You can watch both of Mark Webb's films, and then you can watch just No Way Home, and you could get like a pretty cohesive, like, you know, concise and cohesive story from all of that. Everybody just has this big character arc. But I thought that, you know, and again, you know, like we mentioned, Willem Dafoe just crushes it. Like, he is the Green Goblin. Like, no disrespect to Dane DeHaan, but again, like I said last week, all the disrespect to Dane DeHaan. Like you like it was not going to work out. I thought it would be funny if they weren't going to do it, but if they somehow were able to sneak James Franco into this movie, it would have been interesting.
I thought that would have been really cool.
That would have been cool, but he's like hella canceled right now, so it's fine.
Yeah,
I
bro.
didn't even know that. Damn.
Yeah, we're gonna move right past that. But
Okay.
yeah, you hate to see it. Actually, no, we don't. Willem Dafoe's great. Like, he was so menacing. I think of that scene where like they're in the apartment and like Peter's just like punching him in the face and he's just smiling at him like a psychopath.
Yeah.
Like you said, like body slamming him through the floor. And then, that whole final sequence was absolutely was phenomenal. And again, the last villain we're not talking about is that tree that got sent to the Sanctum Sanctorum. Truly the most sinister of the sinister sticks is nature.
Right.
Which is a funny line, but speaking of that, another aspect of this movie being is that, again, this movie, I will say, like we said at the top, they were able to do what Sony couldn't do, and that is able to juggle a lot of characters in this movie and not have the movie suck. Benedict Cumberbatch is in this movie for actually not as much as I thought he was going to be. How do we feel about Doctor Strange as we as we'll talk about it when we get to the credit scenes, but like Doctor Strange is gonna have some explaining to do.
I like him as a character, but he's fucking up right now. He big time. He is big time. He is big time fucking up right now. Now, does this set up for interesting storyline for Doctor Strange in the future? Yes, but like as of now, it's just like holy shit. Like this man is throwing all. This man dies for 5 years, and he's throwing fucking all caution to the wind all of a sudden. Like what the fuck happened? So Doctor Strange in this movie, he's just like legitimately just like, yo, I tried to help, but now I'm trying to do my job. And now you're not letting me do my job, and it's pissing me off.
Yeah. Riz, how are you feeling about Dr. Stephen Strange in this movie?
I'm really glad that he's fucking up because the story that results is great. And
true.
Like it's it's gonna lead to so much in his next movie and probably more. I don't know, I feel like they could make a whole Marvel phase out of Doctor Strange just being irresponsible.
Yep. And I definitely have a theory.
Ooh,
I'm gonna save it. I'm gonna save it for the end, though.
Yeah,
save it for the end.
Benedict Cumberbatch is just great. The first Doctor Strange wasn't my favorite of like those Phase 3 films, but as we've gotten more Doctor Strange and like more Benedict Cumberbatch in these films, I think he's great. I thought it was funny how he's wearing a puffy as a cape, which is really cool. Like he's just like, oh yeah, we just casually left a. We just casually left a portal open in Siberia and a blizzard blew through, and like he has 2 interns like shoveling out his brownstone in Brooklyn, or I forget where he lives.
Bleecker Street.
Bleecker Street, yeah. Greenpoint or Greenwich Village. There we go, New York.
Because Wong wasn't having any of that shit. He was like, hey. You can do whatever you want, bro, but I'm getting the fuck up out of here, bro. I'm not fucking
Wong
this right now.
Relate hard to Wong.
Wong is so great. Like Benedict Wong is so funny. He's just like, yeah, I'm the Sorcerer Supreme on a technicality. I don't want to do with none of this shit. So y'all have fun. Like, like Wong is. I'm too busy beating up Abomination for sport. Like,
right?
Yeah. How does that work?
We'll
you get to be Sorcerer Supreme as your day job, and then like fight in illegal gambling rings or whatever
at night.
What a story. I thought that we got just enough of Stephen Strange in this movie. The trailers made it seem out to be that he was going to be in this movie a lot, but after Peter geometries him to death in the mirror dimension, it's just like, all right, I'll catch you later,
man.
Really
cool.
Yeah, and again, I love the setup that like Ned might be a wizard. I think that's kind of cool.
Yeah,
he's definitely a wizard, man. You saw that? He
operating.
How many portals this movie?
That man operated a sling ring, and it took Doctor Strange how long? It took Doctor Strange a long ass time to master a sling ring, and he did that shit in 5 minutes.
Yeah, he be slinging for sure. So yeah, we've covered a lot of the big points in this movie. I think we have to talk about the climax of the film now. Eventually.
Wait! Before the climax, there's one thing I want to talk about.
Go for it.
My favorite actor who shows up in this movie, J.K. Simmons, playing the best version of Alex Jones ever.
Yes,
I thought that was great.
Yeah, I wish we got a little bit more of J. Jonah Jameson in this film, but again, there's just so many mouths to feed. I think we got just enough of it. I love that we find him filming his show like in like his like basement or whatever.
Yeah.
Like, and then eventually evolving into like the fact that he's literally Alex Jones, like selling supplements on the Daily Bugle.
Right.
Like
I just really hope that we get something like just some kind of interaction between him and Peter, because that was always something I really liked in the Raimi films, like the scenes that had both of them.
Yes.
So they don't have to play out the same way those scenes did, but just some kind of interaction between those two characters. I just can't wait for.
I just love that, like, despite all the multiverse shenanigans, and we talked about it a bit in the Spider-Man podcast we did a few weeks ago, that J. Jonah Jameson is a Nexus being. He just exists.
He just exists. Yeah, exactly.
In all these universe in some capacity, and God, I would love to see like short content, like with a J. Jonah Jameson like reporting on like big things in the MCU,
True.
like as we move forward.
A
like
TikTok account of.
Yeah, with Betty Brant like as an intern.
True.
That was so cool, man. I was hoping there'd be some some like villain interaction with like J. Jonah Jameson or something, like someone just be like, where's your, like, I don't know, just like somebody saying like some offshoot comment about like, them having a J. Jonah Jameson in their universe as well.
Yeah.
Like that would have been funny. But again, I think we got just enough of him. Is there any other points before we talk about that final battle we want to touch on before we get get there?
Not from here.
Not from here. Not me.
Yeah. So again, this movie really takes off after the death of Aunt May, and then through the power of magic and friendship, MJ and Ned are able to locate the other two Peters, Peter 2 and Peter 3. They have that really powerful discussion on the roof, like we mentioned. I do kind of find it cool how like they each bring up their respective like spots they go when they're feeling sad, because I was totally ready to see Tobey Maguire just show up at the Chrysler Building and yell pizza time, and then that be it. Like, but they have that great conversation. They go through the whole sciencey montage of getting their stuff together, and then we get to the final scene here. The final battle site. It's a Statue of Liberty, outfitted with a Captain America shield. It's a choice.
Gaudy, yes. Extremely gaudy, but you got it.
Revisionist history, I guess. It's fine. But yeah, we get here, and this is where I'm just absolutely like shitting my pants and losing my mind here. So like, what are some of the highlights for you guys in this final battle? Because I could just say that the last like 45 minutes of this movie is just fucking magic. But like, where are your highlights for you guys? Riz, you go first.
The parts where they're talking to each other, the Peters.
Yeah.
Like the fact that they struggled working together, I thought was really cool, because that makes sense, right? They're always fighting alone pretty much. And we already talked about the crack my back.
Yeah.
What else? The scenes with just Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield I thought were really nice.
Yeah.
And I thought it was kind of weird when Andrew Garfield was just like, "I love you guys," and they were just like,
Okay.
Thank you."
It kind of speaks to the pantheon though, because just Spider-Man's awkward.
Yeah.
He's just an awkward. He's just an awkward guy. So.
Yeah. What about you, Banjo? What were some of your highlights?
So some of my highlights were really like so when they in the final battle they elected to cure these guys and send them and then send them back, and then it popped in the light bulb in my head. It was like, oh, they're actually retconning, because Spider-Man don't kill people.
Yeah.
So in a genius way, they're actually retconning the story to where they make it like we're not going to kill anybody, or Spider-Man doesn't kill anybody. So when they send them back to their universes, they're not going to die. They're just going to be fucking reformed for the time being, I guess. But that was a major highlight for me, the fact that they're just actively retconning the story. Another highlight for me is just, Andrew Garfield who saving MJ the way he did, and it's just like everybody rickrolled us and thought it was going to be Toby, right,
Yep.
doing the Mary Jane and saving MJ, or everybody thought it was going to be Tom Holland, but the person who actually needed to be redeemed the most for that act specifically saved her. And I think and that had like there were two people next to me watching the movie, and then when that happened, they were just like, it was just like, yeah, bro, like that's the type of feeling it induces, because it's just like, that was in that movie, that was Andrew Garfield's defining moment. It's just like, oh, Gwen
Yeah.
Stacy died, so I can't let this ever happen again. Another great moment is when Peter finally was able to talk to Otto Octavius, not Doctor Octopus, because
Yeah,
Doctor
man.
Octopus was like, basically just like Doctor Octopus for like a good chunk of the movie, but everybody forgets that, like, Doc Ock was like this pseudo father figure for Peter Parker in Spider-Man 2, and the fact that they were able to just reconvene and talk to each other again was like, that was super moving too. And one of the last things that I enjoyed very much is that, uh that Max Dillon and Andrew Garfield, or Max Dillon and Spider-Man, were actually able to have a conversation. Like, they were actually able to be like, you know what, bro, I'm out here fucking up. I understand this, and I'm just gonna try and be better. But the real cool thing about that shit was like the fact that, like, Jamie Foxx was like, you know, you got a good face. You're a young kid. You live in Queens. You help poor people. I thought you was black. And he's just like the most awkward, like, oh, I'm sorry. But then Jamie Foxx was like, there's got to be a black Spider-Man out there somewhere, and that gives me pause, because it's just like, yo, they're always active. This movie series is always actively thinking about Miles Morales,
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
and
They
I
went
and
the
I
ex-
and
yeah.
and I can't fucking wait. I really can't.
Yeah, I actually, a theory I had I had like leading up to this movie. I'm just like, what if they kill one of the other Spider-Men that show up? Like when they stab, again, spoiler, when they stab Tobey Maguire, I was just like, okay. So I was like, the hamster in my brain was working overtime. I was like, what if they send him back to his universe and that Peter dies? And then that's how they introduce Miles Morales, and he exists in that
Right.
universe. And I'm just like, oh shit! Like,
Damn.
I'm just like, I'm playing like fucking 5D chess in my fucking brain at that point. I'm just like, that's crazy. No, I get a lot of the same sentiments. Again, as the scene that literally, again, I spent most of this last part of this movie, like I said, with tears like welling up in my eyes. But like watching the MJ thing, that absolutely broke me. As again, the Amazing Spider-Man 2 is not a good movie, but it is by no means Emma Stone or Andrew Garfield's fault for that. I am a staunch Gwen Stacy stan. I love, and all the storylines revolving around Gwen Stacy I love it. She's one of my favorite characters in like the Spider-Man pantheon. And I watched that, and like, you see, Andrew, he learned from his mistakes. He's like, okay, he focuses on the jump and not trying to catch her with the web. And then he
Right.
saves her. And like I was sitting next to EE during the movie. He's like, go get her, Andrew. Go get her, Andrew. And I'm just like, oh my god. I just like I at that moment absolutely crushed me, because you see Andrew Garfield be like, oh, are you okay? And then he starts to cry, and then Zendaya with the reply back, are you okay? And I was just like, man, like, get out of here. Like, God, that was so fucking
like,
good.
you just, like, she doesn't understand that, like, literally, like, the love of his life died in the same
Yeah.
tactic. But like the fact that, like you said, this man, he fucking jumped first,
Yes.
and then after he grabbed her, like, actively learning from his mistakes, and it's just like, god damn,
God,
this movie catches so fucking much.
Yeah, that got me. And again, the line, like, right when they decide to like start working together, we're just like, man, we suck. Like, he's like, oh, don't listen. I have a little bit of experience in this. Like, I'm part of the Avengers, and it was like, the Avengers. Whoa, this is so cool. What is that? like watching like Tom Holland have to explain what the Avengers are. And it's like, is that a band? Were you in a band? Like, it's like that was the closest we got to the whole film, with like the Spider-Man pointing at Spider-Man meme.
Yeah.
Hey, no, there was another point that was close to that. It was when they were sciencing, and
When they're in the lab.
Ah, that's true.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
they were like Peter, and it was like, wait, this one. Like,
they had to give it to us, man. I just thought that was awesome. And then obviously you get to see where they're just like, all right, Peter 1, Peter 2, Peter 3, and then they go through the sequence of like slinging through the webs together, and they're hooting and hollering. And there's a scene where I think Tom Holland like webs both the other two Spider-Man and like throws them up into
and
the
fucking
air.
catapults them, bro. That's
Yeah.
that shit.
I was just like, they do the thing on the Statue of Liberty, and like that's where I'm just like, oh my god, this is the best fucking movie I've seen in my entire life.
Yes, exactly. Oh my god.
Yeah, like that. It's like, again, it's just like it has end game level of nerdgasm where I'm just like losing my fucking mind. And then obviously, we get to see the payoff. Everybody is retconned and saved. We get to that final battle on Captain America's shield where Tobey Maguire gets stabbed for a second time, which I thought was a funny. It's like I've been stabbed before. This is fine. And then able to cure Norman Osborn as a result of it, but not without the whatever that box's name that I don't remember. The MacGuffin gets broken out, and then the multiverse opens up. And then through we get to see the universe tearing apart from that one line from the trailer we see. It's like they're all starting to come through, and I can't stop them. I watched a couple of videos that showed it could have been you see a little bit of Craven, you might see a little bit of you see a little bit of Scorpion in there, you might see a
little bit of Rhino.
Yeah, I thought I saw Rhino in there.
Yeah, so then we get to the the ultimate moment of the film where instead of doing the spell where everybody forgets who Spider-Man is, Peter 1 just goes for the jugglers, like, just make them forget who Peter Parker is. Just erase me from existence. And then we get to see just such great heartfelt moments between again him saying goodbye to his other universe counterparts. We get a great little joke before they leave. It's like, you're in a lot of pain right now, aren't you? It's like, oh yeah.
Yeah, definitely a lot of pain, bro.
By the way, like Riz mentioned before, like, great remixes of the original themes from the Spider-Man from their respective films throughout, like, littered throughout this entire scene. Like, so good. And then we get to see that heartfelt goodbye between Ned and Peter, and then MJ and Peter. And again, this trio like continues to be like this, still like the backbone of this movie. MJ and Peter have that moment, just like, oh, like, I found you before, and if I have to find you again, I'm gonna kill you. Like,
right.
Like, how are you guys like feeling about where this film eventually lands, in which the world forgets who Peter Parker is?
That's why I said earlier that this movie feels like a real origin story.
Yeah, I agree.
Because it's like, nobody knows who Peter Parker is in like every Spider-Man fiction, at least that I've consumed, which is like the 90s show, like the video games, and like he goes into that apartment, right? The landlord goes, rent is due at the end of the month. I'm like, oh shit, like, this is Peter Parker.
Yeah,
living
exactly.
in that shitty one-room apartment. Like,
yeah.
I was like, yep.
Like, he doesn't have all that Tony Stark stuff. No one to like fall back on. Like, this is it. Like, this is the real Spider-Man, at least that I know.
Yeah, I'm with you there, 100%, Riz. Without this movie is truly the origin of how Peter Parker becomes Spider-Man, because basically by saying the spell, hey, just make sure everybody forgets that Peter Parker exists. In the comic books, that man don't exist, bro. There is only Spider-Man. That man doesn't exist like that. Like, nobody knows who he is. Nobody cares to know who he is, and that's the point.
Yep.
And by doing that, they basically soft reset the series. They soft reset it.
Yeah,
they were just like,
true.
all right. Yeah, they were just like, okay, well, nobody knows who Peter Parker is. The series resets, and basically, like, and I say this with no bias, nothing. This is the truest version of Spider-Man. The truest version of Spider-Man. In any film, and nearly any media, the only thing that comes close is literally Spider-Man for the PS4. That's it. Because, like, literally, it's like this is the stuff that we finally know for, like, Peter Parker being Peter Parker. and Spider-Man being Spider-Man. The stuff that we know them for is just like the shit that happened in literally the last act of the movie.
Yeah, exactly.
In the last act of the movie, like everything that makes Spider-Man happens, and it's just like this is fucking incredible. But what really made it really special is that it's a coming of age story, and we truly see Peter Parker come of age.
Yeah.
That's what's
No.
super impressive.
Yeah, no, for sure. Like that, I love the ending that they went with it. Again, like watching, the Spider-Man I know lives in a shitty 1-bedroom apartment in New York and is listening to police scanners, trying to catch baddies. And I'm just like, this is the purest version of Spider-Man. You get to see him make his own suit, like, you get to see the proper like blue and the red and then the black, and that's again been
I fucking nut, bro. That shit. I was like, oh my god, bro. He's got the fucking classic on right now, bro. Are you serious, bro?
He brought out the Sunday best, baby. And
bro, I'm like, and like he's web slinging like by himself. He's got the cell phone police scanner. I'm like, bro, are you serious, bro?
Yeah, yeah, and like again, that's a lot of people's complaints about like how the Homecoming trilogies like has felt pretty tied to Tony Stark. A lot of Spider-Man suit has been Stark tech. And all that jazz. I've always loved the suits. I think the suits were always a lot of fun. I like that one of the suits is literally just one of them just turned inside out in this movie, which is like hilarious. The fact that he's like the fact that his suits are reversible is just really fucking funny to me. Like it's a FUBU jacket or something. Like I just thought that was really funny. But again, that's my Spider-Man. I'm just like, yes, like he's wearing the classic costume. Like he's doing all this shit. He's like nobody knows who the fuck he is, and I'm just like, yes, like that's it. Like that's exactly what I wanted to see. And then you get to see that really emotional like moment when he goes to find MJ and Ned in the coffee shop, and like you think, and again, they know nothing about what's going on. He talks about getting a coffee, but like she's still wearing like the Black Dahlia necklace, so it's like she has to have like some memory of like who gave that to her or something. And like the moment when he goes to visit May in the cemetery and he talks to Happy, and he's like, that whole moment was just like, it was so emotional. And like, again, it's like Riz said, it feels like this movie was a 3-movie like origin story for Spider-Man, and whatever Sony or Marvel decide to do with the franchise next, I hope it's more Marvel than Sony personally, but respectfully, I'm so excited because there's been rumors of another 3 Tom Holland films coming out. Whether we get those 2 years from now, the rumors are there's another trilogy coming. Whether it's if we see it another 2 years from now or 5 years from now, whenever we see Peter Parker next in the MCU, I'm so fucking excited, and I was absolutely floored by that. And before we get out of here, we would be pressed not to talk about the post-credit scenes, but is there anything else you guys want to mention about the film itself before we move on?
I'll say this. Everybody who's been complaining about like Spider-Man, who hasn't done any of the comic book accurate stuff, now the goofball shit is actually going to start. So you're going to watch him Craven's Last Hunt, the black suit saga.
That's what I can't wait for. That's
what is that? What is that? The relationship with Black Cat, perhaps.
Yeah.
Right?
Give me Felicia Hardy, man.
Yeah,
like give her to me.
Hardy.
Daredevil's in the You saw Daredevil in the movie. What if Daredevil isn't on the way? What if it's only Kingpin? Like this is the wild shit that everybody's been asking for. And now that Peter Parker is officially Spider-Man, this is where it starts. So I honestly, I can't wait. In whatever direction they take it, they not only revitalize this series for another 3 movies, but they've also garnered interest in Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield. So they might be doing something too, which is insane to think about. Are they going to pick up the mantle? Are we going to see Spider-Man Last Stand? Are we going to see Andrew Garfield actually fight the Sinister Six this time? Like, is he gonna get the black suit? Is he gonna start dating Felicia Hart? Like, it's just so much. It is so much, and it's just from a franchise that literally everybody loves, and it's like it's their franchise to lose. It really is.
Yeah,
because there's so much they can do with it.
Briz, you got any closing thoughts on the film before we talk credits?
Banjo said more than what I wanted to say, which is just how there's just so many different ways they can take this, and they all just There's so many good things they could do, really.
Yeah, no, I agree. Like the fact that we can even talk about potentially seeing Andrew Garfield or Tobey Maguire play Spider-Man in the year 2022 or beyond blows my fucking mind. Like
Right.
the fact that they've opened up this, this multiversal, nonsense is that who's to say, yeah, these guys might be able to pop up in another movie. Sam Raimi is literally directing the next MCU film. Who's to fucking say they don't do a reshoot and put Tobey Maguire in it? I don't fucking know. Like anything's on the table at this point. Like it's like Banjo said, it's about to get fucking weird, and I'm really fucking excited. And I'm this movie just it ended on such a high note for me. Like I'm so excited for the future of this franchise. Kraven's Last Stand is one of my favorite comic books of all time. So like, I greatly look forward to. Hopefully, Sony doesn't fuck up that shit for me because I'll be very upset if they do. But if you've sat through this movie. By the way, shout out to nobody getting up from their seats in my theater. Usually one or two people like leave before the credits are over. And to those people, I ask you, why are you doing this at this point? Like, what are you doing? Like, you're just
a lot of
weird.
people walked out of mine.
What, man? Why?
Yeah.
Like, what is?
And then
I think they're doing it on purpose at this point.
They sat their ass down. Nobody moved. I was like, yeah.
They should lock the doors, honestly. Like,
honestly. And then even more people walked out like before the second one too. Crazy.
Weaklings. I always Google during the credits how many credit scenes there are.
Weaklings.
Yeah.
Pathetic.
So we get two credit scenes in this movie. Obviously, the first one being we meet back up with everybody's favorite anti-hero, Eddie Brock, not played by Topher Grace, but instead played by Tom Hardy, sitting at that same bar in Mexico we left him at, where somebody's explaining to him about that there's different super people, about the whole thing with Thanos, about how he snapped away half of humanity. Venom wants to go skinny dipping. They want to go have a conversation with Spider-Man in New York. And then at that very moment, Tom Hardy is then whisked back away to his universe. But not without leaving behind a small crumb of symbiote for his bartender to potentially have to clean up later. So thoughts on this first credit scene? Because I figured if once they announced that like Tom Hardy was going to be in this movie, it was going to be nothing more than a glorified cameo, or that he was going to be in this movie in some capacity. It was just going to be nothing more than a post-credit scene. But how are you guys feeling about this?
I really I never saw the first Venom movie, but I did see the second one and I liked it a lot. I don't understand why he got transported. I wanted to actually ask that question here. Like, why was Tom Hardy's Eddie Brock transported to this, this universe? I don't get it.
Yeah. To me, it's a weird choice. Like,
I mean, I don't think it's weird. I love it. I want to see Venom, but I don't like. Well, what's the lore? Like, why is he there?
My guess is that they're setting up the Flash Thompson as Venom.
I agree. Yeah.
I think that's what they're going for here. Like the I forget the guy's name already. Like Tony, like Tony, like Reviolo, like whatever his name is. Like the guy that's been playing Flash Thompson in these films. He's
Right.
got kind of nothing to do. He does have a couple of funny like instances in this movie where he's like Spider-Man's best friend. And just like, oh, you got an MIT. We didn't get an MIT because we're actually best friends with Spider-Man. Like,
right.
It's like, damn, cold. It's like I went to school for a month. Like that shit was fucking funny. But like, my guess is that that's where they're going with it. They're just trying. But if that's their way of like getting the symbiote into the MCU, it's just like, okay, but like, is that symbiote also going to remember like Tom Hardy and Eddie Brock? Like, are they going to continue to make Venom movies with Sony and then recast them as someone else in the MCU? Like, that's where I get a little confused, like, also as well, because, it sounds like they want to maybe try to, like, share these franchises, but, like, it's, I don't know. Banjo, how do you feel?
Okay, theory time. So, check it out, right? So, the black suit, right? We know what it does. We know what this is going to involve. We know how bad it is. So, basically, I think, right, they had the little dollop of, like, symbiote skin, whatever the hell it is. So I think that because this is sentient, of course it moves. It finds its way to basically the original, right, Black Suit story, not the original Black Suit storyline, but from the '90s animated television show. Basically,
Hmm.
this thing tries to get back into space because this part of the symbiote doesn't know what the fuck is going on, so it's trying to get back to its home world, like on it's trying to get back to its home planet or whatever, right? So basically what ends up happening is like he gets on the thing gets on the spaceship, it doesn't make it, it gets on J. Jonah James's son, right? And
Yep.
then like Spider-Man goes to help or whatever, the black suit gets on him, he becomes, Venom Spider-Man. Now here's where it gets crazy, right? So basically, I don't know how this happens, right? But somehow, right, Venom gets back into like, back in the same universe. Eddie Brock gets back into the same universe as the black suit because eventually those two were supposed to face off at some point. So that's gonna happen, right? That ends up happening, and like it takes a cue from the Ultimate Spider-Man to be like, hey, Venom, we're not whole until we get Spider-Man's DNA.
Ooh.
So basically, uh Spider-Man gets that part of the black suit back to Eddie Brock, and then Eddie Brock absorbs that shit, and then that's how Eddie Brock gets the trademark white emblem, and he's like, "Oh my God, we're whole again." That's how I hope it goes down like that. I think that would be very cool. But either way, I think it's a very creative way. Just a post cut scene in general. I think it's like post credit scene in general. I think it's a very creative way to finally have the black suit just in the MCU completely, right? Who's to say?
Yeah.
Maybe there's a Norman Osborn who gets a hold of it, right? Maybe Matt Gargan becomes Venom, right?
Oh, okay.
Don't forget, right? That Thunderbolts team is still lurking.
That's true. Yeah. That's oh man.
That Thunderbolts team is still lurking.
Damn, bro. There's so many implications here of what could happen.
I'm just saying, bro. This is what Amy Pascal and Marvel, the geniuses at Marvel Studios, is what they do. So, there's so many ways that they can take it, and that's just my theory on that. But I got another fat theory coming up, but we'll save that for that. But that's what I
Yeah.
think.
Yeah, we'll quickly move into that last post-credit scene. Again, you sit through the credits, and for the first time since Captain America, the First Avenger, the post-credit scene for a Marvel movie is a trailer for another movie coming out, in which you were treated to a trailer for Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness. Not showing you the title, obviously, but it just confirms Doctor Strange will return to fix shit. So again, we get a long look here at at Wanda in her classic Scarlet Witch outfit. We get a peek at what appears to be the evil Doctor Strange from the What If cartoon.
Yeah,
Possibly.
yeah, Supreme Strange.
Dude,
Oh, holy shit!
Yeah. So
Holy shit.
Doctor Strange's biggest enemy is always himself every time.
It's really funny stuff. So how are you guys feeling? This post credit again. We get to take a look at a little bit of what Sam Raimi has in store here. We see a little America Chavez in here as well, which is really exciting. More young Avengers scenes. So how are you guys feeling? I was already excited for this movie. I loved WandaVision and I love what they were going to be setting up. But now after seeing how Doctor Strange not only fucked all this shit up, but now is going to be like, hey, why did I fuck up the multiverse again? Who was I trying to help? It's one of those things. It's is he gonna remember Peter Parker as who's why the fuck is everything all screwed up right now? So how are you guys feeling on this?
Super excited. I'm a huge Benedict Cumberbatch fan in general. Big fan of WandaVision, so I can't wait to see her role in this movie. I just love Doctor Strange, the movie in general, because of how what it does visually, which is also one of my favorite parts of this Spider-Man movie. So really can't wait to see that. And I'm honestly the most curious about the post-credit scene of Doctor Strange, because if we're dealing with multiverse shit, imagine what they could do at the end of that movie. They could bring in X-Men, they could bring in anything they want, right?
Hit it right on the head. Yep.
Yeah, Banjo, how are you feeling?
So I think two things are gonna happen after this movie. I think what Doctor Strange, Multiverse of Madness sets up is two things. Well, really, three things, right? I think it definitely sets up Secret World, Secret Wars, and Battle World.
Yep.
I think it definitely sets up Young Avengers,
Mm-hmm.
and I definitely think it sets up Avengers versus X-Men. And here's why. I think this
Oh
shit sets
man.
it up because now hear me out. What if, right? The multiverse actually isn't broken. What if two different universes are just smashing into each other, just like in Battle World, just like in Secret Wars? What if two different universes are literally just smashing into each other, right? And literally because of the events that happened in Doctor Strange, what if the only two universes left? Because what's happening here is that MCU, right? They got back Fantastic Four. They're getting and basically they have Spider-Man back, so they have the Sonyverse. Technically, the only thing that's left that's not the MCU is the X-Men. So what if those two universes smashing into each other and we get the Avengers versus X-Men? That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. All I'm saying is that when you bring in the multiverse and when you bring in different universes and when you're trying to get every property to fuck with each other, this is what happens. This is the crazy shit that happens, and I love it, right? For that movie, everybody keeps forgetting Deadpool is all but confirmed.
Yeah.
Wait, in Doctor Strange?
Yes,
Oh shit.
Really?
he is all but confirmed. Honestly, Ryan Reynolds has already created in the movie. IMDb
Oh,
it.
oh,
You,
that's it.
Oh, that's cap. We're done here.
yeah. You can look it up, right? So not only that, but it's just like also in the trailer, Shuma Garoth was there. What the fuck is going on? What
Yeah.
what is Doctor Strange doing to get the Void made flesh into the MC? Like that's also a story that you guys should read. Is like the Cancer Verse. Yeah, that's where
You
like
said
shit
the
gets gross.
Cancer Verse?
The Cancer Verse. It's a real thing in the Marvel pantheon. It's where it is where Shuma Gorath is from. Basically, the Cancer Verse is a universe where nobody literally died. No one died, and everybody's a living corpse, and that's where Shuma Gorath is from. It's gnarly as fuck. You should definitely try to read it. Definitely try to read it, right? And then also, right, it also brings in the concept of the source Supreme Strange, right?
Yep.
which is
Right.
which is which is wild because it ties because everybody had this skeptical belief: is Marvel's What If, is it canon? And there's your proof.
Yeah. There was a lot of discussion going around that we weren't. I from when the show was announced initially, I remember reading somewhere that show was not going to be canon. Then I remember reading something that said that some of those stories they might choose to make canon. If we get Supreme Strange in that movie, who's to say we don't get? I don't know. Who's to say we don't get Haley Atwell playing like a live action Captain Carter?
True. Oh my
Like,
god.
or like, who's to say we don't get like a peek at a Marvel zombie in this
Yeah.
movie or something?
See, I
Like,
figured there was a reason why they put like the Doctor Strange trailer at the end of this movie specifically is because like the multiverse is just like, is this going to be a Doctor Strange story? Of course it is, right? And
yep,
and as it should be, you know what I'm saying? But like the fact of the matter is that the multiverse as a concept just opens up a lot of fun stories and fun possibilities for Marvel movies and just cinema in comic books in general.
yeah, man. I'm excited. It's going to be really cool to see what happens here. I think if there's ever a place to like introduce the X-Men in this movie, it's going to be here. I remember reading a rumor on the internet a while ago that there will be a fight scene between Wanda and somebody from the Foxverse in this movie. Take it with a grain of salt. Every Spider-Man leak I read was wrong as shit. So I don't believe anything I read on the internet
Deadpool
anymore.
counts for that, doesn't it?
Technically, yeah. The
He
Juggernaut was
does.
in this
He
movie.
he
So
he does
he counts.
technically. I know who they're talking about.
I have an idea who they're talking about. Listen,
I
all
have
I'm saying is, just come on, man. Like there's a few things I want, cherry picked from the Fox universe.
Okay.
One of them being Michael Fassbender.
That's what I was gonna say.
I just
Yeah.
like if they choose to bring back Patrick Stewart, or I forget the other guy's name who played him in Days of Future
James
Past.
McAvoy.
James
Yeah.
McAvoy. Like, if we get James McAvoy as like a young, Professor X, cool. I want Michael Fassbender. That's all.
Yeah,
that's all
me
I
too.
want. Like, as much as I would love to watch, Hugh Jackman wear the yellow spandex, it's never gonna fucking happen. Whatever they decide to do with Wolverine, cool. If they want to bring back James Marsden from the Sonic verse to play Cyclops again, whatever. I don't care. I want James McAvoy in this movie. They're literally related in the X-Men like lore. Like, make it fucking happen. That's all I want.
Right.
Like,
And they teased us in WandaVision back in January. I ain't fucking forgot about fucking what's the name?
Quicksilver.
Yeah.
Quicksilver in WandaVision as Pietro, as Quicksilver, as like and
fucking
they
Evan
got
Peters, man.
Evan Peters. And I remember we back in January, time flies. We actually watched that episode together.
You did.
And
You watched me shit my brains in real
and
time.
we fucking screamed because
Yeah.
it was just like, bro, like X-Men is
whoa.
real.
Take
X-Men
it
is
easy.
real. It's in here. And we were
Yeah.
just like, yo, the possibilities. And it's ironic because it was supposed to be literally 2 months after that. We were supposed to get Multiverse of Madness. COVID happened. We unfortunately did not, right?
Yeah. In a COVID-less world, the MCU's already popping.
The whole
and I'm
timeline
already-
of the MCU would have been different, right?
Yeah,
Like-
we the only thing that's like really would have changed like drastically is that we would have like not been spoiled to Julie Louis-Dreyfus in Dick Falcon and Winter Soldier.
Literally Madam Hydra, by the way.
Literally,
Come
So
on,
let's-
bro. Like,
There's gonna be some like I agree with what Banjo said. Where Secret Wars is closely approaching. We're gonna probably get some more seeds of that planted as we move forward. Doctor Strange got delayed, I believe, until like late March, I think, or like or later in the year.
It's late March.
Okay, so that's fine. I can survive a few more months without Marvel stuff right now because
It's
the
not
shows
even
are
that
still good right
far.
now.
Like,
It really isn't.
It
Like,
really
I
isn't.
thought, like when I found out that Spider-Man was coming in December, back in January, I was like, God, it's gonna be fucking forever before I see this movie. I could literally die before I can see this movie.
Man,
Actually,
blinked.
yeah. But lo and behold, we're here now. But listen, if this wasn't enough for you guys, if you spoiled yourself without seeing Spider-Man: No Way Home, I think of you differently. But this movie, to me, this is a closing thought. It's near perfect. I just have a few nitpicks. It has firmly moved into my number one of my favorite MCU films. It is dethroned Spider-Man 2 as my favorite Spider-Man film. Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse will go down in history as the most influential piece of media of all time. Because if that movie didn't fucking make billions of dollars, we would not have gotten this movie.
Hey.
I will die on that hill.
Hey, over $250 million as of Thursday. That's release night.
Yeah.
As of Thursday.
In
As
a
of this,
COVID-less world, this movie
that's
breaks
insane.
every box office record, I think.
I agree. This is 1000%. You would have to be foolhardy to think that this is not a $1 billion movie.
Riz, you got any closing thoughts here on Spider-Man as a whole? As we move into Hawkeye finishes tomorrow, we're going to get into a little bit of a dead period for MCU stuff, for a bit. So how are you feeling about this movie? It's in your closing thoughts, if you can wrap up how you feel.
If you asked me a week ago, I would have firmly said, yeah, I'm in like a Marvel fatigue, like not really feeling, consuming Marvel content. Like I wasn't even catching up with Hawkeye until you specifically said I should. But yeah, that's just gone.
Yeah.
Can't wait for Doctor Strange. I can't wait for the next Hawkeye episode even now. Yeah.
Crazy.
But Into the Spider-Verse is still my favorite Spider-Man movie. It's too good.
It's hard to choose between the two.
If I had to rank them, then this Spider-Man movie, it's definitely my favorite. But it's definitely my favorite Spider-Man movie. But if I had to rank them, Spider-Man 2, you're still the granddaddy. Into the Spider-Verse, you're still like the most innovative, creative, probably one of the best Spider-Man stories. And I'd say that this movie is definitely the most fun.
Yeah, no, I echo a lot of how I feel there. And listen, this feels like truly the first step into like what the MCU is gonna try to do. I liked Black Widow. I thought it was a good movie. I thought Shang-Chi was a top fiver. That movie slapped. That's probably, they announced that, they're making the sequel for that. That's probably where we're going to get Iron Fist reintroduced into the MCU, if I could guess. Eternals was whatever. I watched, British people have sex on the beach, and then they had some superpowers.
Hot.
Like,
Yeah.
it was fine. Black Knight's cool though, and so is Blade, so that'll be fun. But this movie, again, it's like, it hits close to home. I was just eating the entire time, and I'm very excited for what's coming in the future. But we have now reached the end of our journey here, guys. Thank you again for joining me. I know this was a long one, but I feel like it was warranted. I had to I was just desperately waiting to talk to other people about this
Yeah, I
movie.
needed to talk about this.
Right, yeah, me too.
I've been suffering for a long time. But Riz, go ahead. Let the people know where they can possibly find you on the internet to talk about Spider-Man spoilers.
You can get me on Twitter at twitter.com/RizzyBear. All I do is tweet about Shin Megami Tensei and probably Spider-Man now.
True. Banjo, let the people know where they can catch you.
Yeah, man, I'm gonna be at Banjo Plays Banjo. Check me out on Twitter, Instagram. You can check me out. I'm gonna be back on Twitch as of January. I'm gonna start streaming again. We got some wonderful things coming up. Nothing crazy, just some some playthroughs of great games, some just online competitive stuff like Apex, like Halo, some fighting games. But more importantly, the return of the Night Show podcast and the return of the tea times as well. Back on the movie reviews again, man. It's something that I wanted to start back doing, but now that I've got my feet back under me, I'm ready to start. And also next year you can hopefully catch me at some esports events, casting not only Smash Brothers but some FGC classics like Dragon Ball, like Street Fighter, hopefully Project L, fingers crossed, and then DNF Duel. So very excited to start making content again for the masses.
Hell yeah, brother. I'll make sure to put all that in the description below, as I always do. You guys can follow me again across social media at KoopaNJ across platforms, wherever you might want to find me. I am taking a hot break for the rest of the year because I'm tired and I deserve it. Up until January, where things get mega stupid crazy. You just follow me on Twitter. You'll see where I'm at. Hopefully wearing a mask and COVID free. But this is your friendly reminder again to get vaxxed and boosted and all that fun stuff. But listen, you guys again can follow the show at Koop'd Pod on Twitter. And again, you can check us out on the BLEAV Podcast Network. Again, make sure you download and click the links on the website. Again, all it does is just help me, garner more eyes so you guys can listen to me wax poetic about Andrew Garfield and how he's a great actor.
Brave man.
Good man for sure. Certified good man. That's gonna be it for us this week, folks. So again, by the way, this is gonna be our Christmas episode because I didn't have time to make a proper one. So everybody have yourself a Merry Christmas if you celebrate it. Have a happy holidays if you don't. Otherwise, and we will see you guys next time. Have yourselves a wonderful time, everybody.